Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rise and Thrive Together. I am one of your hosts, Regina Rossi Lamoth, and guess what? Today is Monday, May 15th. It's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is the launch of our show. Yes, give me some love. Woo-hoo. It is our first live webcast, and we will be with you every single Monday, Eastern Standard Time, here on our multiple amounts of ways of social media to see us. So we've got my personal Facebook group, Regina Rossi Lamoth. We've got Raquel Stewart's personal Facebook group. We've got all of our brand now. We are Rise and Thrive Together, our Facebook page. We've got our Facebook group, Rise and Thrive Together. It's a private one, so come join us and we ask you a few questions and hopefully you'll be able to join us there. Our Instagram account, Rise and Thrive Together, and now our YouTube channel, Rise and Thrive Together. And we are so excited for our first show. We also get to tell you one other exciting thing. If you've got Roku TV, you can watch this on a replay. That's right. If you've got Roku TV, find Laws of Life with Blanca and go and subscribe, and you get to watch the replay there and check out everything else that Laws of Life with Blanca has available for some amazing conversations and other webcasts as well. So, are you guys ready? We are excited. I am now going to introduce my partner. Ready? Dr. Raquel Stewart, come on to the stage.
Woo! I don't want to woo too much. I may lose my voice. Hello, everyone. We are so excited to be here. Don't mind me. I just kicked my table. There's nothing hanky going on. But we are so excited to be here. Thank you so much for your support. We really and truly do appreciate it. We are ready to dive into our first episode. I'm so psyched. Let me tell you a little something. Last week, if you missed our promo, go back and watch it because you got to keep up, right? So last week, really quickly, we discussed me being in pain from a spin class. And we talked about no pain, no gain. And we talked about it as it relates to working out and your muscles. And then I thought about it a little more. And I talked to my girl, Regina, and I'm like, there's more to no pain, no gain than just working out and the pain of your muscles and releasing the lactate acid. And I can get scientific, but that's as scientific as I'm about to get today. But when I thought about no pain, no gain, I was like, well, where did it come from? Who actually started this idea of no pain, no gain? And what does it really mean? Not just as you're exercising, but in every area of your life. And so when I did research, of course, it came from way back in the days. There was this Greek, I think he was a Greek poet that actually expressed it in one of his books that he wrote. And yeah, you're right. No pain, no gain means you've got to experience some type of pain in order for there to be a gain or a reward. And I don't really want to sound like I'm teaching, but I thought about that a little bit deeper. And I wondered, and I'll bring my sister in a minute. I wondered, what does that mean as it relates to not just your physical, but your mental, emotional, and spiritual being? No pain, no gain. How does that apply in those different areas of our life? Right. So when I thought about it, I know physical, but then when you think about it mentally, what does that mean? No pain, no gain. Regina, what are your thoughts on this no pain, no gain? Am I going too deep or just light? Because that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Whoop, right there. No pain, no gain. It was like, whoop. You caused that alarm and siren to go on. That is amazing. Yeah, I love this conversation because since we spoke last week, I've done some deep diving myself. So you got all the way back to that day back in, I don't even know how long. And I even read about Ben Franklin being the one to really get it out there even more. But when it came to mindset, because that's my jam, I'm all about
Mm-hmm.
mindset. There is a whole philosophy now, and a whole thing about looking at no pain, no gain is not helpful. So here's the thing, what they're saying. Number one, I'm going to go back to physical for a second, because even the people that are talking about no pain, no gain, when you're talking about physically, there is a difference between pain, and then there is a difference between the feeling of your body working out.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you go to pain, it is your body, and including your mind, telling you that it's time to take a break, time to stop, time to relax, time to say, hey, we've pushed that limit, the pain of it. And so that, I think, is what is such an interesting kind of mindset playing. We feel pain. You might have some pain, like if you've lost somebody in your life, right? You've gone through divorce. Maybe you got into a fight with your friend. Maybe I said something that hurt my daughter. There's that feeling of pain, but the gain around that, no, I say no to that. And there's talking really, and I believe in this, that is a moment in time to take a breath, take a breather, let's kind of assess this situation and kind of see what support, what I need, so that I can be able to, kind of like, if it's with my daughter, what can I do to kind of embrace that situation and be able to have a conversation with her, because obviously she might be in pain as well. If it's you and me, if it's whoever that may be. So I love, for me, that pain is, to me, that alarm that went off. That's like, whoop, whoop, time to stop, take a breather. And for me, who do I need to connect to? First, myself, and maybe to reach out to someone like you, sis, to be able to say, hey, stuff is going on here and I need your support. What do you say?
But and I agree with you to a certain point. We're talking about the mental part of it and the mindset,
Mhm.
and there is a gain. There's the pain, like you said, of losing someone, and the gain is when you can shift your mindset to say, yeah, that person is no longer here, but I'm so appreciative for the time that I had with them. And then that brings back the good memories of that relationship that you had. When you use the example of your daughter and pain that may be caused because of a conversation, the gain is you taking that moment to go now and have a more uplifting, a more building conversation with her. So, what I would like to know is, anybody out there, put it in the chat. What is an example of your no pain, no gain? Like, this is real talk, real results. And in order for you to have results, you need to have that conversation with yourself. And it's not just your mindset, it's your emotional context. For me, when it comes to emotional no pain, no gain, we've all experienced the emotional pain. Where is the gain? The gain is you sending your emotions to school, right? People have
Yep.
a way of feeling, but sometimes we take up permanent residence in our feelings. And how does that benefit us? Where's the gain? We're all into the pain and we feel it, and it's so deep and it's so intense. But where does the gain come from if we're experiencing this pain emotionally? What do you say? What
So
say
that's
you?
ooh, I got some feedback, but that's okay. So first of all, before I even like answer that, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for all these people who are watching. Right now, we got about approximately 8 people watching. So if you just got on, we're in the conversation of no pain, no gain. What does that mean to you? We're right now in that like mental mindset. When you hear no pain, no gain, what does that mean? So what you were saying was, for me, it just goes back to that, like, yes, I need to take that break. I need to reset. I need to like evaluate. It's always like the after effects, right? All the
Mm.
emotions, the feelings, everything are happening. It's always the after effect about that. So I'm interested in that no pain, no gain is, of course, you know, how do I get to that after effect when I'm all involved into that emotional? We wear our feelings and our emotions. We go from 0 to 60 really quickly. So that's like the, alarm that went off. boom, I've got something going on. There's some high, like, pain happening. And that is where I'm really about why I was saying, I'm going to take a break. I need to step away. What are some of the techniques? And I'm interested in your techniques, Raquel. Like, what are some of the techniques that you use when you know you're at that point? Because our emotions take over, like you said, and we can sit there and kind of spin out. For me, it's been taking time and time again. You know that it has been a journey. I don't get to a destination. It's a journey. So there are many different things for me to go through, but I have rewired myself. That's just really the way that the minute I feel that, I know I'm going to take away. I can sometimes move through those feelings and emotions by journaling. Sometimes I'm moving through those emotions by taking a run. Sometimes I move by just allowing those feelings to be out there. And a lot of times, what I do, I call you, right? I pick up the phone and I'm like, hey, I'm going through something. This is like beyond anything that I can use. And that's why I think we created Rise and Thrive together.
Right. So for me, what do I do when I'm in my feelings? It doesn't happen as often as it used to, thank goodness, but I am not a robot. It does happen. And when I find that I'm getting too deep in my feelings and it's taking me down a path that I just don't want to go down because I've been there before and I know what it's like, and my friends are the type of friends that won't take that road trip with me. What do I do at that point? I have to have a real conversation and check myself. And when I
Yeah.
say check myself, what I mean is like, listen, let's have this conversation. What is this really and truly getting you? You're feeling sad, you're feeling down, and what else is it getting you? What are you gaining from this? Now, see, there's a good, I don't want to say bad gain, but there's a certain way to gain where it keeps you in that space that's not beneficial to you. And then there's another way to gain where you can come out of that. And the space that you're in where the gain is not getting you anything, it's not making you better. What you're getting from some people, you may be getting attention. And that
Mm.
attention that you're getting, whether it's attention that's benefiting you or it's attention that is keeping you at in that space of this is not really working, but I don't know how to get out of it. It's the attention. So you do get something out of that. The other side is when you're the no pain and what am I gaining from this is just that. You have to have that conversation. You've got to do a little self talk, introspection, whatever you want to name it. You have that conversation and real talk with yourself like, what is this really getting you? And why? I love the question why because it provokes thought. So when I ask myself, why are you feeling this way? I look at myself and I say, self, I'm feeling this way because my feelings are hurt. Okay, I can deal with because your feelings are hurt, but why are your feelings hurt? So I go through this whole process of just asking myself, why, until I get to the real meat and potatoes of the matter. Again, it's about sending your emotions to school. None of us are robots. We are going to have emotions. But my question to you, audience, is, and chime in, how do you get out of that emotion that you know is not serving you to get out of the situation? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love it. It reminds me of 7 layers deep. That why.
Yes.
I had this fantastic mentor who talked about that all the time. Like, you get to that first thing, like, why am I feeling this way? Like you said, my feelings are hurt. Okay, next layer deep. Why are my feelings hurt? And you get to that
Right.
next and go keep on going until you really just get to that point. Because usually it comes back from not from the person who hurt your feelings, but something way back prior that triggered that off. I want to give a
Exactly.
shout out to Susan Schaefer right now because she is putting on here saying that she thinks there's different types of pain and gain, and that the timeline is different for each. And I love that, Susan. That is deep. And I'd love for you to kind of keep on writing and share a little bit more about that because we would love to know more about. I agree, but I don't want to speak for you. I don't think Raquel wants to speak for you. So, what do you mean that there's these different types of timelines for each one? And
Right.
Odelia, came
Mhm.
on. Adelia's like, hey, one of the things that I do is for her, she writes. I know Adelia, she's an extraordinary author. She's written a bunch of books. She's into her, I think, third or fourth one. And she takes that moment to start writing. And I think that 7 layers deep is out there, right? Oop, we got Patrick. You want to read out what Patrick has to say?
Sure. Hey, Patrick, first of all, good evening to you, handsome one. Most of the times I've done destructive behavior in my life, and we all can. You are not alone, my brother. Let me let you know. I
Mhm.
didn't realize it until quite a bit later, sometimes years. The pain happens when I'm finally willing to see and dig into those events. But it's then that you gain. Patrick, that was
Woo.
so beautifully said because you absolutely have to dig in. And you have to, when I hear the words dig in, that translates to me meaning put in the work. Some of us
Yes.
aren't willing to put in the work. We want the gain without the pain. And let me tell y'all, agree, disagree, it ain't happening like that. It ain't happening, Captain.
Nope.
That's how I get down. That's real. It is not going to happen. There is nobody that's going to come and knock on your door and say, "Here's your gain." That doesn't work. You have to put in the work, and the work is pain. I often say to folks, if someone showed me what I had to go through to get to certain things that I've accomplished in my life, I'd be like, nah, bruh, you can
No
hold
way.
on to that. I don't want to go through all of that. Why can't I just reap the rewards? But that's not the way this works, right? So thank you
Yep.
for that, Patrick. That was on point. Sis, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I think well Susan wrote next, but what I loved what Patrick wrote kind of answered her question, at least in my way, where she says there's those different, timelines, right? Like it was
Mm-hmm.
not until the after fact for him that when he went through those destructive behaviors, and it was years later, timeline later, when all of a sudden, when he was doing the dig deep, doing that dig healing work, that when he finally was like, ooh, there's the pain, and here's now what I'm learning and gaining out of it. Susan jumped in because I asked her to like explain that. She says there's the pain of exercise, like we were talking about, maybe a Charlie horse, but the gain is muscle tone. Then there's the pain of hurt feelings and the whys, which, like she's saying, like Odelia does, journaling or discuss. And it could take a day or a few. Then there's the pain of losing a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes a few years to see the gain. So, right, beautifully meshed with Patrick. All different timelines, all different pains and gains. And like Patrick was sharing about his destructive behavior, Susan is sharing about the loss of a loved one, that for most people, for many of us, and I can definitely say for myself, takes a long time, right? Takes that time, different timeline. We got to go through what we got to go through. We get to, hopefully create community that is there for you, that can listen to
Mm.
you openly and not judge you, give you that space to go through it, not try to fix and change you. Raquel and I are not here to do that. We're just getting real about what we're talking about. And then along the way, you can start seeing those gains.
That makes a lot of sense. And thank you. And you'll notice there's a theme in the people that are brave enough to write in the response, and that's journaling. People
Hmm.
take time to write their thoughts. Because guess what? For most of us, and I never say all of us, for most of us, when we're writing, that's where truth comes out. That's where we get to understand, hopefully, and recognize what's going on with us up here, because it starts up here, right?
Yes.
And so journaling is a way of releasing that. There's some people who don't have a support system. They may not have someone that they can readily call just on a whim and say, hey, I'm experiencing something, I'm going through something. So for those that may not have someone that they can call at hand, journaling may be a good way. Maybe. Journaling, again, is not for everyone, right?
Nope.
It's not necessarily for everyone. It works for some people because I know there are tons of people that said they tried journaling, it just didn't work. They just wrote down stuff and it just didn't matter to them. So what we want to say is find what works for you in order to have that real conversation. For me, I journal, but when I'm in that space, and I had that space of loss last week.
Yeah.
I lost a really, really good friend that I met him in China. We became friends and he passed away. And that hurt me. And I had to wonder why. And I spent time with myself, figured out the why. And then it was like, okay, you need to release that. So let me share with you what my why is, because I don't want to hold on to it. My why was he stopped talking to me a year ago. We didn't communicate. And I was like, why is that? Why would you not want to reach out to me, of all people, and have this conversation? And you know what I realized? I didn't have to like the way how he handled his situation, but I had to respect it. And because I really care about him and respect him, I respected his decision to go through this with his family and not include me. And so I really had to understand my why. Why was I really feeling this way? And I've got to say, I love and appreciate him. He handled it how he thought was best, and I had to respect that.
Yeah,
So,
that's beautiful. You know what Susan wrote kind of just connects with what you said. It helps to be open. Number one is why we really created this. This is an opportunity for people to listen
mm,
and listen maybe from a different perspective. You know, we're not asking for you to change anything, but it does, help a little bit if you can be a little bit open. So being open to that whole entire situation that you were going through, right? I was there. I literally was with her that day when we had a call set up, you know, and it took something. She was upset, allowed her to be in the space that she was, and then she was able to come back and communicate later. But she was open. She was really open to like go through those feelings, go through those emotions, really dig deep into that why, and then may not like it, but the fact is that she loves him so much so that he respects everything. To respect,
it's
you need
interesting.
to let go of judgment, says Adelia. Love it.
hmm Yeah. And it's interesting when you say to be open, because I really and truly, I was so open that I actually shared with people that I cried. I mean, I cried in front of strangers. I don't know
Yeah.
none of these people. And here I am just boo-hooing. And being open allows you that space to gain what we're hoping is some understanding. And because I just shared with people, strangers, friends, family, that I was crying and I was hurting. Now, I'll tell you something, years ago, I wouldn't have done that because I had to be brave about
Trust
it.
me, I know that. That
But
situation.
now I'm like, what? Yes, you do. But now I'm like, listen, I was crying, I was hurt, and it's okay. It's okay to show that vulnerable side. You
Yes.
know, that's something I used to struggle with, but that's a whole different conversation. We ain't having that conversation now because woo, that'll take some time. But I want to get to Odelia. She said to respect, you need to let go of judgment. You absolutely do. Judgment of others and judgment of self, if
Number
I may
one.
add on to that. Right. So
Oh,
thank
number
you for
one.
that,
I was
Odelia.
committed. It was like I heard it loud. It was like judgment of self. I think that's where
Mhm.
you were, sis. That's where you
Yeah.
were, right at that moment of that pain during that loss was,
Yes.
all of that. Why didn't he call me? Why did we stop talking? Because we had that relationship. And when you let that go, right, there you were being able to just be with what is. And
Right.
you mean, like you said, you don't not need to like it, but then you got to like really get him and respect
Absolutely.
him and connect to him. Vulnerability, number one. Take it from me. I know this girl for a long time, a long time. And yes, there we have it. So this has really been amazing. Thank you, Adelia. Thank you, Susan, for jumping on. Thank you,
Yes. Yes.
Patrick. I mean, great insight. This is what we talk about. This is why we're here. This is not Raquel and I, blah, blah, blah. This is about us. We call it Rise and Thrive Together because for me, she knows it takes a village.
Yes.
And so we are creating this village with you guys for everybody that wants to come on and share what we're talking about. Give your opinions. We are open. We are not here to disagree or agree. One thing I can say about Raquel is that she has so much taught me, like, wow, like to be in the space of so many other perspectives. I thought I really had that mastered, right? But there's like something about her that just takes it to the next level. So she helps me elevate to rise and thrive to that next level. So, sis, what do you want to take it home with before we close out?
I want to take it home with appreciation because that's what I'm really and truly filled with right this moment. I appreciate Regina. I appreciate all of our viewers, I have to say, and listeners. I appreciate Blanca for opening up this platform for us. So Blanca, thank you so very much. We are so appreciative, and we really appreciate and value the opportunity that we have to speak into people's lives. We never, ever, ever take it for granted. We're always very appreciative and very humble. And so I want you guys to remember this. Remember, together we can rise and thrive. Till next time.